Well, let's start then. We want to welcome Liz. This is a Liz Lewis. This
Sari
is
says yes.
okay. This is a do-over from about a month ago. There you go. When Liz and I were very ambitious and romantically inclined. We
We
had a
were.
beautiful, on the road kind of image, but it didn't work. So Daria saved the day, and she's here in the background now. Help, Liz. No, we can't see her. Yeah. So I can't see anybody. Whose
Yeah.
dog is that?
It's
Somebody's dog.
my dog.
Uh-oh. Okay, we got Liz and her dog. Okay, everybody here. So this is Liz Lewis, and I invited her to talk today about her book. You're not the problem. It's just come out recently. It's for late diagnosed ADHD women and the invisible forces that shape us. So, wanted to talk about with Liz today about some of the important issues she talks about. I wanted to talk about the post that I did yesterday because I've heard from a lot of you about me coming out of the closet about AI and talking about disabilities and writing and sort of what I called neuro privilege. I was reacting to from maybe you didn't see the messages that I got, but those were messages that I was reacting to more than anything about AI. It's just coming from a position of, we're the real writers. And it just harkened back to something that Liz talks about in her book, which is about that feminine ideal and that we all face, that cultural ideal that I've talked about a lot. And so I harkened back during this last week to all those messages I got about, oh, you're not a real woman if you can't do all those things that, make you a good enough mother, wife, friend, So um, I was connecting those two issues in the last couple of days. So we'll talk to Liz, and then you can ask your questions, and then we'll try to see if we can make this work. So thank you. If Adari, if you see things you want me to know about, just let me know. So Liz, tell me about writing this book. And I know Terry's here who wrote the introduction, which is exciting. And I just thought it was even in this. I wrote down what I liked, page 11, was how you described ADHD, more about instead of just these specific kind of categories, it's about, as you said, a different way of experiencing the world. I like that because, you could try to say this symptom or that symptom, but it's so much more, nuance than that. So I liked how you described it like that. And that you emphasize, like I've always done, gender roles and gender expectations and those ideals. Um, Liz covers all these things about masking and phone calls, which I love because I will never want to talk on the phone. I don't know what that's about. I call it phone phobia, all the way to friendships and just so many great stories in here about. I especially love this one about how easy it is to get misdiagnosed. He told this really heart-wrenching story about this woman who you talked to for a long time, and she told the whole story about what happened to her on the way to the psychiatrist. It was so obvious ADHD, and it was so. And then she goes to a psychiatrist. Well, do you have this symptom? This symptom?
Mm-hmm.
No, you don't qualify.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, who qualifies for what? Is that question. So, I just thought it was really nuanced and it was very authentic voice, and so I really enjoyed it. So, why don't you tell us about how you came to write it and what you hope people will take away from it?
So the book itself, it actually had, I guess I would call it 3 iterations. The first time, and this is not typical, but I was approached by a publisher and I was unagented. So when they first approached me, well, first I wanted to make sure it wasn't fake.
Yeah.
So I had to look up JKP, learn more about the fact that they are a real publisher and they are actually owned by a big publisher. So after I did all that, and I met with them, what they were actually asking me was they had gone and looked at my old website, which I never send anyone to because I find it embarrassing. But a lot of my old stuff is very much about my ADHD, my son's autism, and me trying to parent him with ADHD. And so I started writing about being a mom with ADHD probably long before people were really writing that way. So that's what they came to me for. And so we put together, they actually told me how they like their proposals to look and everything. And I made a proposal. I didn't really know what I was doing. So I gave them everything they asked me for. I gave them a proposal, and I think I even gave them, and I didn't like doing it, but I made an outline for them because they wanted one. And they asked me all the typical questions. If you've ever published a book, you know
Yeah.
what I mean. They were like, who do you know in ADHD? Like, who are your connections? They wanted to check
So
me out.
about Mark and make sure they could sell the book.
Yes. And just make sure that
Yeah.
I at least had enough connection to the ADHD space that I could, that I would be credible and that nobody would be like, who is this girl?
Right.
So that was actually in 2021, though, in like fall of 2021. So it was a long time. And then I gave them everything they asked me for by December 31st. And then I got a phone call or an email early in 2022, and they asked if they could meet with me. And I was like, oh, okay. At that point, they just said, hey, we really like this concept. Could you do a writing sample? I said, okay. I was a little nervous about it. And they just told me to write whatever, an intro or a chapter that I felt like writing or whatever. So I gave them a writing sample. And within like 48 hours, they were like, hey, can you jump on a Zoom? And I said, oh, gosh, either they really didn't like this or they really liked it. Like, I don't know which one to think. So I just showed up for this meeting, and they were in the UK. So it was like 6 a.m. And they basically were like, oh, you have a very different voice. Like, we've looked at all the markets, like all the stuff in ADHD, and this is really different. Would you be willing to write a bigger book? And of course I said, well, that's been done. I have friends that have written bigger books. I was like, I need you to be specific with me about what you mean. So we went through it again. They were like, we could do this and this and this. They didn't make me do another proposal, but we did have a whole other outline. So then they just put a contract in front of me, and then they said, go ahead and show it around, like show it to friends and colleagues and whoever you want, get an attorney, do whatever you want, and let us know if this is okay with you. And I did. I showed it to different people, one contract lawyer, and they all just said, this is pretty standard, like publishing contract for a first time you've ever published. So I signed a contract and I started writing, and they gave me 2 years.
Is that good or bad?
Bad. 2 years is too long. You change your mind about a lot of things, about everything. Too much of life can happen in 2 years. Just a lot of stuff can happen in 2 years. And if I did it again, it would not be a year. Probably a year would be sufficient, because you can overwrite too within that time.
Oh yeah.
And so it wasn't bad. And they were if I had a question, they answered it, but in that very British, like polite way. Like, they're very British and polite, but like they weren't forthcoming with information either. They just like set me on my way.
They didn't interfere too much.
No, not at all. Actually, I would have loved if they gave me more deadlines. Like,
just like, here, do this and tell us when you're done, kind of.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah.
And then did they go through a whole process afterwards after you submitted it?
So I submitted it. I could have submitted it earlier, but I decided to join a writing group, and then I did a little beta reading. So I had some people beta read it for me because I had time. I did a little beta reading, made some changes, tightened it up a little bit, and then I turned it in about 2 weeks before it was due, the manuscript. And then I heard nothing. It was due in April of 2024. They did not even look at it or start to edit it until November.
Oh, wow.
Of 2024. And I only remember that because I was at the ADHD conference in California, and they email me all of a sudden and want to start this process. And I was like, I told you guys I have this conference I do every year. Sorry.
Okay.
So that delayed. Yeah.
Okay. And now it's just come out. And can you tell everybody like a little bit what's different about your book, or what is it? I mean, your voice is what's unique too. And how did you decide what to focus on, what to include?
So once I got into the editing, and a lot had changed in ADHD in that almost 3-year period. I mean, we went from like, ADHD being, I don't want to say a small community of people that all know each other, but it really blew up. And we have social media influencers, we have YouTube channels, we have, and I was talking to the main editor, and I said, I think people's attention spans are not good. And there's a lot of noise about ADHD in women. And I was like, maybe we need to like focus this. And he was like, I'm so glad you said that. And I was like, yes. And I loved the delete key. I'm a great editor in that sense. So
Peggy just joined. She said, can I hold up the copy of the book again so new people are joining? There it is. Okay.
Yeah. So we kind of made the decision together, and I made the executive decision that it was going to be about latent life diagnosis and the impacts of that.
Smart.
Because it just felt relevant. And I didn't want to write a book that was just, I didn't want to just sit around and talk about the symptoms of ADHD.
No.
I didn't want to do that. And I really wanted you to zoom out a little bit and think about the fact that, you know, we've come so far, and ADHD itself, we know a lot about it, and we kind of know how to support people or how to try to support people. But, you know, for most women, I think the issue is much more in the expectations. You're already living under these extreme, unrealistic expectations, and then ADHD layers on top of it. And it's really easy to point to the ADHD. But the truth is, we need to make bigger structural changes for all women. But I just think we feel this so acutely because of the challenges of ADHD.
Right. Those internalized expectations we grow up with, especially when we are late diagnosed. So you grow up for many, many years. That means just conflating your difficulties with your sense of self and your worth as a woman. So, do we have any questions from anybody about? Well, I haven't asked for them yet, but if you have a question about the book, about or a comment about the expectations for women with ADHD, or the feminine ideal, I think is how you call it. Um, you can write that in the. So she said, "I think your voice," Annette, I see, says, "I think your voice is great. I listened to your audiobook." Is that you? You have an audiobook about
Yeah,
this?
I actually I just read it myself
That's hard to
because
do. I know. I do that once.
I was really nervous the first 3 chapters, and then I calmed down.
You did it at home, like, or in the studio?
No, they actually did a search on their own. They found a studio that met the specifications they wanted, and they told me what it was, and we booked. I think they paid for like 2 or 3 days, but I got it done in 2.
Wow, yeah, that's hard to do. So, oh no, I didn't know that. So thanks for mentioning it and that. So they can get it on Amazon and also on audio, or
Yeah, you can get it from Amazon. You can use Kindle. I'd assume that the audio would be available from, what's the other audio I've heard about? I know if you have Spotify Premium, it might be available on there. And then
or
I feel like,
Audible.
yeah, I feel like Barnes and Noble, I don't know what they do for Audible, but I know it should be available.
Well, I didn't know about that, and so a lot of people are saying I'm reading that the audiobook is great. So I'm glad to know about that. Uh,
Yeah.
so tell us a little bit more about what you want people to know about women with ADHD
Well, I
and
think
what is yeah.
the big thing I really just wanted people to take away from it was that you don't have to, like, I don't know. I think a lot of women, we are, from the time we're pretty young, we're on this, like, I call it the treadmill, like the treadmill to nowhere of self-improvement. And we're
Mhm.
always trying to work on something. It doesn't matter if it's a career thing or a parenting thing. Like, most of the women that I've met in the last 12 years, the whole reason they've come into my orbit, sent me an email or asked for coaching or something, is because they want to be a better version of themselves for the people in their lives. And I'm not saying that there's no value in working on yourself, but this idea that every little thing should be treated as a project. We are a constant and ongoing project. I'm kind of over it. And I feel like ADHD, especially now, has become, and it's marketed to us online as like, all you need to do is find the right special sauce, the coach, the program, the whatever, and you will all of a sudden be in control of
Really?
everything. You know, and I don't know. I just want people to be like, no, I don't need to change or fix myself. I can always be learning and growing and understanding yourself better. But this idea that fundamentally you need to change this about yourself to be worthy of relationships
Yeah,
and friendships and
yeah.
all the things, I'm just like, can we not? Can we just not do that anymore?
Well, that's so important to have that voice out there. It sounds so exhausting. It is so exhausting for so many of my clients, and that's why we wrote that book about, really, we sort of ironic when we use the word the radical idea that instead of trying to fix yourself, you could
Yes.
just be yourself, and that was our point too. And it's just so important because otherwise you're never going to get anywhere, and just the anxiety about all that's just going to just make your ADD worse, and this perfectionism and this constant search for being matching some kind of
The
other
goalposts
neurotypical ideal. Yeah.
the goalposts just keep shifting. And then you add ADHD to it, and you're like, well, now my goal is to manage my ADHD and to prove I'm managing my ADHD. And then I have a hero story to tell or something. I don't,
Right, yeah, that superpower thing, versus just like that's why I really go back to what you said about this is just have a different experience of life. You have a different kind of brain. And I think that's what's so great about meeting other people with ADHD, and just we're just different. We just have a different perspective, and we think differently and we react differently, and it's not like a thing that we have to get rid of or extract or fix. So this
Yeah.
idea that you should fix yourself is pretty much the most destructive thing that I found for clients when they come in. Just, can you just get rid of this part of me? I can just fix myself.
Mhm.
And specifically, that's what happens for the diagnosed women. That's why it's so good that you focus specifically on that. Do you have anything to say about what happens when you're late diagnosed specifically?
Well, I think I mean, it can look a lot of different ways, but I've seen it play out. There are some people who are extremely, extremely, I'm going to say in shame. Like they already had a lot of shame, and then they have a name for their shame. And like, I always think about this one client I had who, she told her husband, I believe is what it was, but she didn't tell her adult children. And she had a pretty professional job. And so she decided to just live with it like the secret. And I was a secret, like us meeting together every week. It was kind of like a secret. And her husband knew, but no one else in the family knew. And they were on vacation and she wanted to meet, but then she didn't want anyone to know she was meeting with me. And I was like, it
Yeah,
was
really.
just, it was just a bummer. It was just a bummer. I felt like, um, and she was waiting to see a counselor. She was on a waiting list to see someone sort of ADHD informed. But, there's that kind of reaction. People that just want to hide it, mask it. And then I call them fixers in the book, I think is what I call them. People that go into immediate fix it mode. If you're the kind of person who's always been kind of, I don't know, an accomplished person, your first instinct is to get on
Take care
top
of
of
it.
this thing.
Yeah, let's
What
take
do
care
I
of this thing.
do?
Right.
How many sessions will it take?
Yeah.
How many do I need a coach and a therapist? What do I
Right.
need? You know?
Right.
Um, and I would say that there is, and I have met a couple of these recently too. There is also, I don't want to be too broad strokes about this, but the three big ones, and the third one would be the people that look at it. How do I describe it? I always say as an excuse to shout it from the rooftops, and they get a little bit excited, which is
Mhm.
cool. I mean, I'd rather you
Discovery.
do that
Yeah.
than get sad about it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then I've also met people that are like, this is the reason why I should blow up my life. In effect, I'm gonna quit my job. I'm gonna divorce my partner or whatever. I don't know. I'm gonna hang an internet shingle, and I'm gonna start talking about my own ADHD. And I'm like, isn't there a gray space? Like,
Yeah.
slow down. But
Mhm.
those are the three broad versions of emails and meetings I've had with people over the years. Yeah.
When they finally get diagnosed. Well,
Yeah.
because they've been carrying it so long and it's
Yeah.
been a secret and they've coped with it so much and they haven't been able to have a handle on it. So all those three reactions are pretty
Yeah.
understandable depending on and the late diagnosis to me, is that the problem is because your self image is so fused with these challenges you had no idea, no language for all your life. That's what causes so many more of the difficulties.
Oh, I forgot about the anger. Occasionally, like over the years, I've probably met two or three people that were really angry at their parents,
Yeah, for
or
not
maybe like
helping.
somebody else who failed them over the years, or maybe a misdiagnosis. I've met a few particularly angry people, but usually that comes along with the sadness.
Well, that grief cycle, I'm
Hmm.
sure most of you have heard about that grief cycle that was applying to any kind of major life change and identity change like this, the denial at first and the anger and the what's it, dabda, the bargaining.
Ooh,
Okay, I'll just take the
bargaining.
medication. And then the
Mhm.
depression when you realize, okay, this is really real. It's not going away. And then working through all that to the acceptance. So it's important to go through that all those emotions when you understand this, and there's this period of confusion, like after thinking of yourself one way your whole life and then like I can't go back but I'm not really on solid in the other kind of post-diagnosis solid identity yet. So there's a period of like, well, where am I, kind of lost period. So it's a long process to get to that place. um that secrets, that's why I came out yesterday, because that I'm trying to go anti keeping secrets, at my stage and my age. I felt, ashamed about this AI thing, which is helping me. It's interesting if I just go in there for a second, because of course, as people are saying, you create wonderful things by laboring and shaping and working for hours and blah, blah, which I've done all my life. But on Substack is also a different way of helping people by getting things out frequently and connecting frequently and getting my raw, authentic ideas that what you've experienced, not waiting 2 years to get edited or 2 years, to get something out there. So um, there was a lot of tones in what I was reading about who gets to decide, who decides and who gets to decide. Like you have to prove yourself somehow, just disclose it and just talk about it, prove it. And that's why my first tendency was like, okay, I'm just going to keep this a secret. I'm just going to hide it. Or I'm just going to, work around the edges. And I said, what am I doing? It's not like 1990 anymore for me. So I wanted to open that conversation. And it's part of the conversation today. If you want to talk at all about what it means to have a disability and to be a writer or a creator and what it means. And then I thought it was crazy because there's editors and there's tools, there's all this stuff you can use if you really want to spend your creative life dealing with all those tools versus what I've enjoyed in Substack is this immediate kind of connection and the help with organizing and spelling that I never had before. So I want to just be open. So the thing about secrets that you mentioned really resonated with me. No more secrets. And it's very freeing. And I wanted to open the door for other people to be open about anything they've been hiding. So Annette, Pam says, I love what you're talking about. I just turned 69 and I was diagnosed in my early 30s. I'm also a survivor as well. I'm in a wonderful healing process, yet I've been trying to learn to slow down and realize I was trying to, I got cut off. What? I got cut off. But so this idea of it's so different when you get, well, I guess you can get diagnosed early.
And as Annette
says, she met Liz as a newly diagnosed person
at 38.
When she was 38. She met Liz in a support group at ADA. She had a column about healthy habits, and then I met her again as she led a work group for Sari and Michelle Frank's workbook. Oh, thank you, Liz, for doing that. I forgot you did that. Yeah. And Annette was able to ask her help to lead the work group. It was an amazing work group. Liz helped all of us taking the work group read and learn from the book. Women of all ages from everywhere. I learned so much. I think I helped her lead the group, but she really did all the work. So I forgot you did that. So our worlds collide, right? Yeah, that's so great. Annette's been a great supporter all these years. And Pam, no, you're not bad at texting. This technology is really difficult, and we're all just learning together.
On your phone to,
yeah. So if you want to finish the thought, we're here. We can read what you're saying. Okay, Pam.
That was
Pam. Okay. Can I scroll? I can't seem to scroll up to see what people have said. Oh,
so you're all cut up.
I just wanted to read some of. I want to see who was saying something. Okay, hold on. If anyone, okay.
This is when they first got on. These are all of the things.
Yeah, okay.
The book.
I just want to know why I couldn't scroll easily.
And then these are the official.
I know.
questions.
I understand. I just was saying why I can't scroll. Oh, scroll this button. See. Hey, don't feel bad, Pam. I don't know.
There we go.
Okay.
Good job.
I wasn't able to scroll up and down. We want to talk a little bit about friendship. I think that's such an important thing for women. I added a chapter to that for my revised edition at some point of women because I hadn't talked about that earlier, and it's such a difficult issue. So many women care so much about people, and one woman said, "Oh, nobody can see my heart." Like all women do is think about, "Oh, I need to call them. I need to connect to them. Oh, this person, is in the hospital. This person lost their husband. I need to do all this." But then, you just can't keep up with all of it. So then people don't see you accurately, or then you start to feel ashamed and back off. And then, just it goes bad from there. And then you just lose connections because you think they're mad at you and then they think you're not responding to them. So it's a very complicated issue.
Yeah. I actually just wrote an article. It was something I think I edited it out of the book about one of my closest friends, the godmother actually of my son. Basically, in the book, I think I talk a little bit about how friendships are always like a dual relationship. So like usually when something goes wrong, it's not just you. And it's probably not just the other person.
But you think it is usually.
Yeah, it's usually both of you. And I have been fortunate in my life that I have had friendships that have waxed and waned. And been able to revive them. And I wrote this article about, her name is Heather, about how prior to my son being born, I mean, I talked to Heather. We were teacher friends and we talked probably every day. She was there the day he was born because I was worried that I might like lose it or something on my mother. And so Heather was there, which is kind of funny. And after my son was born, because he was so high needs and stuff, I think she was still teaching full time, and we just lost touch. And all of a sudden I got invited to her wedding, like when my kid was about 2, I think. And I had this, like, I was like, how did I get invited to her wedding and not, I met this guy one time. I don't even know him. Her life has gotten to this place, and here I am in my house. I just felt, I wasn't even upset that I wasn't in the wedding. I was just upset that I didn't realize they were that serious. And I was like, oh my God. And so we went to the wedding and I took pictures of her, and my husband was like twirling her around the dance floor, and it was horrible. And then COVID happened and she almost died.
Oh.
And I kept trying to reconnect with her, and it's just, our lives were like on very divergent paths. And finally in 2024, I think it was, I don't know, I just started bugging her again. I just started like texting her and bugging her. And now we do things together, and it's like, and I've gotten to know her parent. I love her parents too. And, I've gotten to hang out with her parents again recently. We spent the 4th of July together at a lake house, and, it was hard. Like the first couple of times I was texting her, and you know how when you text somebody, it'll be like ...
Right.
And like, I didn't know if she didn't know what to say. Cause I was just honest. Like I would just text her and be like, I was thinking about you. I really miss talking to you every day. And I knew it was like kind of like a vulnerable thing to put out there, but I just did it. And I don't know why I did. I guess I thought of all the people I could be that way with, she was the one I was going to do it with. And it's been great. It's been great. And I wrote about it just not a few weeks ago. I'm going to say a month ago on the Substack. And people sent me notes saying, wow, like you revived a friendship after 10 years or more. And I was like, I did. And we both fought for it, but like,
People
we did it.
So you're the one that actually started it, which is interesting.
I did. And so my message to people is, if there is someone that you have lost touch with, there wasn't a major falling out, nothing like that, but you've just lost touch, because that tends to be how things happen. Like it's just all of a sudden you realize a year has gone by. I encourage you to just do the hard thing. Send a text message. I was just thinking about you. Or I heard a song. I heard a song we used to sing together. Or something.
You know, and sometimes they don't write back. I just did that. I had a dream about somebody we were very close. I hadn't seen them in like 10 years. And I wrote them the other day, and I don't know where they are, and they didn't write back, and it didn't matter. You know, I knew they might not. They've gone on with their lives, and, you know, or maybe it was even 15 years ago. I just wanted them to know I thought about them. And so you have to know, you know, addressing the rejection sensitivity, you have to know, like, okay, I might reach out and they might be on a whole different planet by now, you know. Also, there's people that, you know, maybe you do lose touch with because your lives are not the same anymore, and you don't have to feel bad about it, and you'll always love each other, but you won't, you know, be in daily contact. Then there's these other people that you have to fight for, and overcome a lot of shame and avoidance and embarrassment sometimes, because you feel like it's you that have dropped the ball. Sometimes you have, you know, but sometimes they have too, like you said. So it's a very vulnerable thing, like you said, to reach out and say, I miss you, or I need you, or, you know, to tell anybody you want to connect, especially like you're saying, we get isolated, and so important to break that cycle. So that's a great message.
I would also say it's okay when you're first meeting new people. I think a lot of us jump into this, like, I don't know, performing thing when we meet new people, especially because a lot of us think we have something to, I don't know, that we need to be performing, that we can't just be the way we are. But I would also say it's okay, like, if the vibes are off. If you just are just like, I don't know if that's someone I'm going to pursue something with. You don't have to like do it just because like, I know a lot of people really are attracted to like a person, and like, even in a large group situation, everyone's really into this person. They're very charismatic, and I just, like, my vibe is just not.
You can have your own judgment about the person, right?
I don't really pretend. Like,
that's good.
I've been in situations, even in ADHD, where there's like a person who everyone just adores. And when everyone gets up to like greet them when they walk into a room, if there's like 20 of us at a table, I'll just be like, fine.
Yeah, not everybody's going to like everybody else, and
You don't
sometimes
have
it's just
to.
like an aura or some kind of thing that people are attracted to, but it's not really the person themselves. What were you saying? That somebody,
And
Pam
Pam
finished her thought here. So she's dealing with a lot of anger and frustration as she tries to prepare for retirement. I'm realizing that I've been trying to follow ideas from people who do not have ADHD, and it's wonderful to connect with women who live with ADHD and hear that I'm not alone. That is so important because people who don't have ADHD can sometimes be kind and supportive and well-meaning and know everything, but they don't have that lived experience, especially about following ideas like Michelle and I have in our book. What was it like? Gee, why didn't I think of that? We have a whole chapter like all the ideas that we've gotten from everybody. Why don't you just make a list? Or as if I don't have like 1,000 pieces of paper with lists on them here. So I think that's really important, Pam, that what you're saying. Like, it's great to have all kinds of friends and professionals help you if you need to, but people with ADHD really do understand at a deeper level. So thank you for that. And yeah, retirement is a whole different thing. And I write a lot about aging and ADHD. And, sometimes that's difficult. Somebody was saying about losing all that structure. What you were saying, too much time to do something. When you lose the structure of a job, or when we start to retire, you don't have the support and structure. It's nice for you to have this new community that you can try to connect to. And people who are aging with ADHD, they have sort of a double whammy, but also I feel like they've already learned all these lessons about coping with, impermanence and change and imperfection. And so the same principle, that's why I started my Substack, because I really, the same principle that we've had to learn how to have an inner life that helps us accept all that stuff is the same thing as we need when we age or face other challenges in our life. So thank you. Anybody else have a question about or a comment for Liz as we're wrapping up today, or going live here? Any other comments about anything you want to say to me or what's happening in the world of ADD? No. Okay. Liz, I'd like the thing about phone calls was really interesting to me. I did an informal survey of why I call it phone phobia. I mean, I wrote about it for one of my books, but why don't you like phone calls? I hate when you text people. There's certain people I don't text because I know they'll know that I'm there, and they'll call, and people will call you. And then when you're texting, it means you don't want to talk on the phone, but some people will use it as a way to trap you into a phone call.
Yeah, I won't say who it was, but there was one person that was a contributor to this book that, for whatever reason, we talked on the phone a lot. And I just kept thinking, why do we have to talk on the phone? And then when they read the book, they were like, actually, they texted me and they were like, you should have told me you don't like talking on the phone.
Oh, no.
And I was like, I'm sorry, but it was you. You were a person I couldn't just say no to. And they were like, yes, you can.
That's a good lesson in itself. Yeah.
So that was kind of funny.
And I suppose there are, okay, I'm being told, I hate talking. Yeah, Terry, what? Terry says, yes. I hate talking on the phone, ! Several times.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. It's like a demand thing, a demand avoidance thing, maybe. I don't know. But this is the weird part about me, is if you call me, I will get kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But if you leave me, like, I have a tendency to leave people voice messages.
Yeah.
And I will say in the voice message, you do not have to respond to this immediately.
Yeah, I like
but if
that.
my hands are busy or I'm walking my dog or something, that is the fastest way for me to get it out of my head. And I can't do it always with my fingers when I'm walking the dog or on the treadmill, because a lot of stuff comes to me when I'm on the treadmill or whatever. So I'm the queen of leaving people voice messages, but yet I don't want you to call me right back.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, I should just leave a message that says, please don't call me, just text me. I do tell, when people ask me for my contact information, I say, I tell them right out, just text me is the best way. I don't really answer my phone. I don't, because I'm in the middle of other things. I pretend it's because I'm in the middle of other things, but I think it's like is very, a lot of people want it. I mean, I need the visual cues. I'll always Zoom if I can instead of just talking on the phone, texting
Yeah.
or because it's hard to coordinate. Uh, I think there's a
Yeah.
mismatch of what you're supposed to say. Peggy says I need to make about 5 phone calls to line up visits for my vacation, which begins tomorrow. Yeah, there's certain people that I really hate to. I hate to call for information. I hate to call doctors' offices. I hate to call places where I have to explain myself. That's the main thing. Or I have to be on demand for scheduling. Like figure out what the answer to a question about scheduling. But also like these office people, like, well, I don't know. You have to like get through all these gatekeepers. I hate that. What
I have the worst phone. It's kind of like a mini phone story. Last Friday afternoon, about 10 minutes before 5 o'clock, I got a phone call from it's actually my sleep doctor, not even my ADHD doctor, telling me that I had to have a drug test, which I've never had a drug test in my life because I take 2 different controlled substances. Now, my sleep medication, I refill twice a year. So that means I take it like 60 pills in 365 days. It's not that much. But anyway, so they call me 10 minutes before the office closes and they're
Oh.
like, oh, we need you to go for a drug test. And I was like, what? For what? And they were like, for drugs of abuse. And they rattled off all the drugs. I was like, but that's not the drug I take. And they were like, no, but call back on Monday or call the lab and do the scheduling on Monday. And I was like, what? So I did, and I didn't actually call them. I went in the portal and scheduled
Yeah,
my
thank God for portals.
drug
Yeah.
test. But then I called the sleep doctor's office because I realized I have to schedule with him in November. This is what they said to me. Well, his schedule's not open yet for November.
Right.
So can you call back in like 2 weeks? By then the schedule should be open. And I was like, I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm
Right.
trying to schedule ahead of time. And now like that's the phone. That's how
Yeah.
my experience of talking to office people,
Yeah.
doctor's offices on the phone.
All the bureaucracy is
Mhm.
impossible. Office work, Terry says, oh, Peggy says, in my acceptance of myself, I have learned to respect the people who do things right. I not want them to think I am so proud of my easygoing self that I think they are dumb for all the perfection. Oh, not quite
How
sure.
do you know when they do it right? That would be
Yeah,
my
what does that mean,
What's right?
Peggy? I'm not quite sure. Are we not supposed to judge then, you
Respect
mean?
people. No, she's learned to respect.
Yeah, we
them.
have to
Yes,
respect
that's-
other people
yes.
too, right? They have their own differences. We have to respect and tolerate neurotypical people, right?
Oh, okay.
I mean, I think that's what you're saying, but it's okay. I do not want to think I'm so proud of my easygoing self that I think they're dumb. Oh no, I don't think they're dumb for all the perfection, and I don't think they're
No.
perfect either. But I just, again, I feel like it's the arrogance, it's the intolerance that I feel from people who don't understand. We have different ways
way
of
that-
processing.
I actually just did a podcast rant on my Substack. I did for my paid subscribers, I just did a whole rant about how women, specifically women with ADHD or other brain-based challenges, how we interact with the medical system and the healthcare system.
Terrible.
Because it's not set up for somebody with brain-based challenges.
I come in with a list like this and they go, like all the women, they want to talk about this in depth, right?
Mhm.
And these lists.
And most health systems only give you like
No.
15 minutes
And they don't want that.
with
You have
anybody. Like it's
give me one issue that you want to talk about this one time, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just did a whole rant about that because
Oh,
I think
that's
that's part
interesting.
and how we communicate with clinicians. Because I've had a lot of people send me emails about how they don't trust clinicians anymore because of this, and this. And I'm like, I should do a session someday about communicating with professionals.
There
Maybe
is a book. I found a book once about how to talk to your doctor because when I go into a doctor's office, I have to prepare as if I'm going on the stand,
Yes.
like I'm going to take the stand and it's going to be a legal proceeding. And that's how a lot of women proceed, because they don't believe you, and they don't like the way you communicate because you're
Yep.
ADD, and then they just write you off. And women anyway, but women with ADHD. So I think that's a great subject.
Maybe we can get Michelle to do it. Maybe I can get Dr. Michelle Frank to do it with me or something.
Okay. There's also so much, Pam says, there's also so much new information that I'm learning about aging and ADHD. Very thankful for the work you do. Yeah, it's so important for people not to write you off and think you have dementia just because you've never been diagnosed with ADHD. That's happening. It's something we're trying to prevent now. Terry says, office workers talk too fast with appointment options and can't process it, so I write them down and call them back, maybe. What Peggy, what are you talking about your sister-in-law? What?
Sisters-in-law.
What does
She's
she mean?
referring to sisters-in-law being one of those.
Perfect people?
Yes.
Sister-in-laws being perfect people? Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what to say to that.
I have
but
a sister-in-law, but she doesn't. Well, I have
When I
my
had a
husband's
perfect sister, I
sister.
we have a perfect sister-in-law, right?
My husband's sisters. I mean, one of them thinks she has ADHD. So, the other one is like a librarian and very calm.
Oh,
But
that's nice too. I mean,
yeah,
it's nice to.
they're a
I
good
mean,
counterweight.
there are neurotypical like supporters or kind people or
Yeah,
helpful people who, if you find that kind of partner that I had for many years working with
same.
me, it was great. So yes,
Yeah.
Peggy said, "LOL, the perfect ones." Yeah, I don't know if that was tongue in cheek, Peggy, about the perfect ones. We get it. I used to want to be like them. Okay, yeah, I used to want to be like them too, and then I stopped. She says, oh, I guess sister-in-law is a big subject here. It sparked a lot of
Yeah.
conversation. Terry has a sister-in-law that aces cooking, 3 types of
Oh,
salmon dinners and 3 sauces. I hate her. LOL. Yeah, it's hard when there's a whole family like that, that you're married into, and they all
yeah.
don't have any of these problems. I used to cower in the bathroom, at holiday times. I didn't know what the heck I was supposed to do. They all had this perfect dance. It felt like after dinner, everybody without any directions could just get up and move around and clean up and put away, and everybody knew what to do with this beautiful dance. And I was like, headed to the bathroom or play with
Yeah.
the kids.
I guess I got lucky that my husband's family, and I mean, my younger brother is married as well. I guess I got lucky that my in-laws are pretty. I was intimidated when I first met them because they're very like academic people. They go to very fancy schools and that kind of stuff, but they got their own weird stuff. It may
There
not
you
be
go.
ADHD, and they talk about it though. They just laugh about it. They got their own weird stuff. That's what we always say.
I think that's important to realize that everybody has their own weird stuff. It's just different.
Everybody.
Sometimes if there's a whole bunch of them that have the same weird stuff that you don't have, or vice versa, then it's like her. But over time, I've worked with them. They've come
Yeah.
around. Uh, Peggy says all of her brothers have ADHD. That's an interesting topic. I guess the thing about the in-law family, we'll have to do a thing on that. My husband's sisters are wonderful to me now, and that says, like my sister, when I first met them, I felt so inferior. They were both so smart. Again, remember, ADHD has nothing to do with being smart, nothing at all to being smart. And some people just conflate that, or they put off by these academic way
Yep.
of speaking, and that Peggy says, I told my sister-in-law I get panicked when they visit and clean for 2 weeks, but do they make their home messy so I feel comfortable? That's great. Yeah, why don't they mess up things so that I thought I could turn my house into a ADHD bed and breakfast, that people Airbnb where people could come here and feel comfortable. I don't have to worry about it. Because I love having ADHD guests. They're the only ones that I will allow in my house.
Yeah.
But once a year, it's good to have those other kind of people here, so you'll clean once a year. I think is a good thing. All right, guys, I think that's it for today. But I think that's opened up a whole new channel of in-law stories. Okay, any final thoughts, Liz? Come to the, Carrie says,
No,
come
I
to the
just.
cook and a housekeeper. So they're really riffing on this now. Okay.
Oh, that's so funny.
I come to the house, cook and a housekeeper. And now we're best of friends. We have been married for 50, we have 3 sisters. Okay, yeah, go on, Liz.
Yeah, I really want people to reconsider the idea that if ADHD comes into your life later, that you must take immediate action to handle it. And yeah, I just really want you to zoom out and really think about what is the context of my life? What are the pressures I'm already living with? What is possible now? I mean, there's only moving forward. It's really hard to back up. So I don't know. Just a lighter, hold on
Lighter
loosely.
touch.
Hold on
Hold on
loosely.
loosely. I love
As I
that.
say at the end of the book, hold on loosely,
Oh,
like
I
the
love that. I'm gonna
80s.
write that down. Hold on loosely.
Yeah, I think one
All
of
the
the
way.
last sections of
Yeah.
the book is called "Hold On Loosely."
Oh, I love that.
because
Hold on loosely. I didn't get there. Yeah.
yeah,
Hold on loosely. And I guess that's just a great way to think about life in general, right?
yeah,
Hold on loosely,
yeah.
So I think we'll end with that. Is there a way to capture this chat before everybody gets off?
Hmm.
Before everybody leaves?
I did it.
You did? You capture the chat? Let's see. All right. Well, I love that. I think that's a great thought to leave you with. Oh, and then on Monday is my birthday. I'm going away,
Oh,
and I'm posting a schedule for 3 months. I'm very proud of it, for the chat groups and the reflection groups. I have exact schedule, and you'll see it on Monday, and with an actual grid Daria helped me do. And so we'll at least do those twice a month for the next 3 months. And then I have some good podcast ideas coming up, and then some more go live. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Love the humor too. Okay, and I love this new theme. Hold on, what's it called? Hold
Hold
on
on
loosely.
loosely.
I love that. Let's all carry that with us. I'll carry that to my birthday. Thank you guys. Thanks, Liz.
Nice meeting everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
And